You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Challenge us at Wexford Insurances 0818 31 30 30.
Over the last 10 years, we have witnessed an increased number of people moving away from traditional medicine and instead considering holistic alternatives. Joining me now in studio is Simone Ross from Kushi to explain the reasoning behind this change. But firstly, Simone, how did you become involved in holistic healing?
We'd be going back about 10, 11 years, and I actually met a lady called Lita while I was out for dinner with some friends, and we actually got chatting about holistics, and she was actually a Reiki master. And from that point, it just piqued my interest. I mean, she was an amazing lady to talk to. Her views were completely different and maybe, way out there, a bit wacky at the time. I would have thought, considering my background, which would have been more kind of pharma, scientific. So listening to her and actually, talking about the holistics, it was just really interesting. The whole outlook on it, and you can look it up on the internet and all the different things it has to offer. It's completely different, and the results are actually amazing.
So following that, I suppose, conversation that you had with Lita and that introduction, and for you to, I suppose, be inspired by what she had to say in relation to the area of holistics, what happened next?
Well, she offered me a healing. I was actually complaining at the time of tennis elbow. I'd had it for a few years on and off. And when she offered me the healing, I have to say I was actually quite sceptical. But nevertheless, I went along, and she did explain to me that, she would offer 3 healings, and maybe on the first healing you wouldn't feel anything, but by the second or the third you would probably feel some sort of improvement. Now, the first healing I went for, I have to say I was quite emotional. It was very strange. The second healing I went for, I didn't feel any pain in my elbow. So I thought, well, it's kind of weird, because this shouldn't happen. Normally I take pills and the pain goes away. And by the third time, I have to say, I just felt fantastic, in myself, and there was no pain in my elbow. And from that time till now, apart from the odd twinge now and again, I've never had any pain in my elbow, which is fantastic, and have the same results.
The word holistics, what does it mean, I suppose, for the benefit of our listeners that wouldn't be familiar with the term?
It's basically an alternative. It's an alternative to mainstream. Holistics covers a variety of things. There's so many different holistics out there. You can have bioenergy healing, Reiki healing, integrated energy therapy. It covers a vast array of things, but it's all alternative to the mainstream. So
Kushi itself was born out of that love that you had developed for holistics. Tell me when Kushi was formed and what the vision for the company was at the time.
Well, again, the vision would have come from Lita. Kushi was her dream, and I would have went in with it with her, to kind of get it all started and to help out. We decided about 8 years ago that we would buy a property and we would create a healing centre. And it took us 3 to 4 years to actually find the property. And I remember, going through, travelling to different houses and different places, and, we would make days of it, take picnics and everything because we would spend so much time on the road looking. And we came across one house on the listings, and I remember Lisa saying to me, "That's the house," but it had sale agreed written on it. And I was like, no, it's, we can't even look at it. So I phoned the estate agent. And he said, no, that house is sale agreed. And I remember Lisa turning around to me and saying, he's going to phone you in the morning because, that house is going to fall through because that's ours. And 10 o'clock the next morning, I got a phone call from the estate agent saying, the sale had gone through. Would you like to view the property?
That was certainly very coincidental, to say the least, Simone. Tell me, when you did eventually buy the site and the house itself on it, what was the plan for it?
Well, the plan was always to kind of create a healing centre. And because the energies on the land were so pure. They were just fantastic. Anybody that steps onto the land, you go through the gates, and it's like stepping into another world. You know, people claim that, you know, when they come into Kushi, it's like being in a bubble. You know, they just have this overwhelming sort of peace that comes over them. So for us, it was about, you know, harnessing that and creating a place where we could invite people into, you know, and to perform healings and to perform meditations, and people would just, you know, totally fall in love with the place and feel at ease.
Now, talk to me about the services that Kushi does provide. What areas do you operate in?
We actually operate in a vast area, simply because the way we see it at Kushi is there are many different paths. You know, not everybody wants to do Reiki, and not everybody wants to do integrated energy therapy. So we would offer, you know, paths along shamanism. We would do pagan and druidic paths. You know, so people can come to Kushi and, you know, just try a bit of everything, and then decide which one they would prefer to go down and which path they would actually like to train in.
There's lots of words there that you've mentioned that I'm not familiar with, to be quite honest. It's my first time hearing them. You might just explain them. So that the whole area of, let's say, integrated energy therapy.
Yeah, well, integrated energy therapy would predominantly use angels for healing. Different areas of the body would, you know, promote different angels. So it's very similar to Reiki in that it's an energy healing, but you just call upon different people to help you out.
Talk to me about earth magic and witchery.
Well, earth magic is, it's going back to paganism, pagan times. We would do a lot of sort of ceremony in that. And we would also talk a lot about the history of, you know, where earth magic came from. I mean, earth magic is, traditionally, it's a Celtic thing. You know, it comes back from Scotland, it comes from Ireland. You know, it's where we all come from. It starts off in the pagan. You know, we use the elements, you know, the cycles, you know, things like that. It goes through the whole history of it, and it's fascinating to learn.
One of the reasons I've asked you to come on to this morning show is that I was reading recently in a business magazine that lots of business people are turning to holistics to get out of the stress levels that they're experiencing in the challenging times that we face ourselves. Are you finding that yourself?
Yeah, a lot of the people that would come to us would be very much in the business sector, and that would range from, you know, recruitment to accountancy to property management. Yeah, I mean, a lot of them would be coming to us because of stress. Obviously, you know, the recession, the financial aspect of things. And, you know, people do suffer. They suffer through their health because of it. And they would come to us for healing. And hopefully, you know, they feel the benefits from it.
And Simone, what can they experience through yourself? What's the process that you bring them through?
Well, initially we would obviously take them into the healing room and we'd sit and we'd have a chat with them, just to see where the issues are coming from. Sometimes, you know, the issues aren't always obvious, you know, so you just kind of have to dig a little bit deeper for that. And then we would actually perform a traditional healing on them. They would lay on the table and we would give them an energy healing. Now, through that process, most people would find that, you know, they would be overcome with emotions, or it's just a release, you know, because they're there, they're feeling safe, they're feeling relaxed. It's like, you know, they're releasing whatever they have sort of built up inside. And that release is actually very important, you know, in order to relieve the stress. You know, a lot of people don't realize that, you know, emotions are very important for us. And if we don't release them, you know, they're going to build up inside, and that causes stress. And that can also cause physical ailments as well.
Simone, it would be a wasted opportunity if I didn't ask you to provide some of our listeners with advice this morning. I suppose those specifically in business that are suffering from stress.
Yeah, I think it's very important for people, you know, of all walks of life, just to take time out for themselves. If you can manage to take out 15 minutes, you know, if you're sitting at a desk, take your shoes off. I know it sounds odd, but actually having your feet on the carpet or on the ground underneath you certainly helps. And, you know, concentrate on your breathing. You know, taking a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and maybe counting. So it's important, you know, count in on the in-breath, maybe 7, and then 7 on the out-breath. And if you do that 3 or 4 times, just to kind of bring yourself into a relaxed state. And then, you just sit there. If you find it hard to concentrate, perhaps put an object in front of you that you can look at. Okay? This is visualization, meditation. It's in front of you, you can see it, you concentrate on it. And whenever you feel your mind drifting, you bring yourself back to that object. The other way to meditate is to count. Count from 100 backwards. Visualize the numbers in your head as you're counting back. If you miss one because your mind drifts, you go back to the 100 and you start again. And you'll be quite surprised just how much concentration that takes and how much relaxation you actually gain from that.
Thank you very much for providing our listeners with that advice. The future plans for your own business, Kushi. From here, I know that there's plans in relation to maybe setting up a spiritual hospital. Tell me about the thinking behind that.
Well, we want to be able to help people. We want to offer people a place where they can feel safe, a place where, they can recover, a place where we can offer healing and we can basically look after them. Because, a lot of times when people aren't well, whether it's physical, mental or emotional, they need to be looked after, they need to be nourished, and they need to be loved. And, showing somebody kindness, love, compassion, it can cure a multitude of things, and it's important that people feel that. And we would like to offer that in Kushi. And, further down the line, that's what we want. We would like to open a spiritual hospital where people can come and recuperate and feel energized and go away, much happier and feeling better within themselves.
Simone, that's us nearly out of time, but one final question for you before we go. I was wondering, the word Kushi, where did it come from and what does it mean?
Kushi is actually an Indian word and it means to live happily. And the thinking behind that is it's something that we're striving to achieve, and we're hoping that everyone that comes through the door, is also striving to achieve that.
You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Think Wexford Insurances for your business insurance.